I would like to call the meeting to order for the Midtown Redevelopment Board for Tuesday, May 14th, 2024. May I have a roll call, please?
Absolutely. Ms. Tangela Hardy, Ms. Davita Bonner,
Present.
Ms. Renee Richardson, Ms. Joan Shepherd,
Present.
Mr. Lynn Thompson,
Present.
Mr. Pastor Eddie Lake,
Present.
and Ms. Kathy Washington.
Madam Chair, if I can just add, I received notice that Tangela would not be able to make it. She notified me today, so her absence is excused. And our board chair notified me several weeks ago that she's celebrating in Paris. So she has a birthday, and she's celebrating in Paris, so hers is excused as well.
Okay, thank you. If I could ask everybody to stand, and Pastor Lake, if you wouldn't mind offering the prayer for us.
Absolutely.
Before the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let us pray. Father, in Jesus' name, we thank you for this opportunity and privilege to gather together at this Midtown Redevelopment Board meeting. We pray, God, that you would guide our footsteps, give us witty inventions, ways to make our community better and safer and more pleasant to raise families and friends. Father, we ask now for specific wisdom and guidance, that you might be glorified, that the city might be edified, and that we complete the work and everyone would be at peace and in harmony with one another. And we ask your blessing upon each and every one of us and our families in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge
Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Okay. Board members, if you've reviewed the agenda.
Yes.
Okay.
I move approval of the agenda.
Okay.
I'd like second the motion.
Okay. Any opposed? The motion carries. Okay, thank you. The minutes were from the date of April 9th. I failed to say that. So can I have a motion? And we already did that. So again, the minutes were from April 9th of last month. Okay.
I'd like move the approval of the minutes from
Okay.
April 9th.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Those opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Thank you. At this time, Ms. Tolliver will come forth and present us with some information on the MLK Luxury Lofts, Ross Court, which is a major site plan and quasi-judicial hearing presented. Thank you, Ms. Tolliver.
Thank you, Madam Chair, board members. I'm Michelle Tolliver, the project manager for Midtown. Item 7 is the major site plan for MLK Lofts, MLK Luxury Lofts, Ross Court, DEV 2023-270, quasi-judicial hearing.
Okay.
The project request is by John Zimble, Don Engineering, on behalf of N&N Consulting and Development Corp. and Oliver Ross Sr., property owners, to approve a major site plan for MLK Luxury Lofts, Ross Court, .77 plus or minus acres of land located at 112 South Dr. Martin Luther King Boulevard for the construction of a 3-story multifamily building and all associated site improvements. This slide shows you the site location in Midtown area, the west side of Dr. Martin Luther King Boulevard between International Speedway to the north and Magnolia Avenue to the south. This is an aerial of the current condition. As you can see, it is a vacant, undeveloped parcel. This next slide is the current land use, which is mixed use medium. The next slide shows you the current zoning, which is RDM1, Redevelopment Midtown, Midtown Center, mixed use. This next slide is our project description. The applicant requests is for a major site plan approval for a 3-story building with 25,692 square feet for residential use and all associated site improvements. The proposed development will consist of 24 units of 2 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms at 840 square feet each. 2 units on the first floor will be ADA accessible. There's a total of 6 parking spaces that will be provided for this project. And as the board members will recall in the staff report that was presented to you by mail, there is no parking requirement for this area. The next slide is the proposed exterior elevations. And I know this is a side note, but I love the color. The next slide is the proposed floor plan for the first floor. The next slide is the proposed floor plan for the second floor. And this is the site plan for the project. The next slide is the recommendation. Staff recommends approval of the MLK Loft Ross Court major site plan for the construction of a 3-story multifamily building with all associated site improvements. A majority vote of the Midtown Redevelopment Board members present and voting is required to approve the application. Do any of the board members have any questions for staff? We do have the representative for the project owners. Chris, if you'll tell me your last name.
Yeah, Christopher Casey.
Thank you. Christopher Casey with Zahn Engineering can answer. He's going to present after I'm finished, but if you have questions that I can't answer, the representative will be here to answer those.
I'm sure I'll have some questions, but I'd rather
Wait, okay.
Okay, Mr.
That
Casey.
presents my presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Casey?
We got a quorum.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Christopher Casey. I'm with Zahn Engineering. Michelle, thank you very much for your thorough review of our project, and I appreciate everybody's time tonight. I don't have much to add on to what Michelle said, so I'm just here to answer questions. If anybody has anything, feel free to fire away.
Yes, my first question. Oh.
Please, go ahead.
My first question would be regarding the parking spaces, even though you're not required to have the additional parking spaces. For the landscape of the community, I believe it would be safer, and it would add to have additional spaces, would make sure that the footprint remains the same. So I'm asking that if you could do one or two things, either purchase an adjacent lot or make a request from the Midtown Redevelopment Board, if there are properties available, to have additional parking spaces.
So do you mean in terms of getting more additional parking spaces on frontage, or are you talking about a second lot? I believe the adjacent lots are they privately owned?
I believe so.
So we don't have anything in the works for that at the moment.
Okay.
But what would you mean by, from the redevelopment board, getting additional parking?
Well, if the city can assist you with that.
Would you
making
be
that request? Because I just would like to not see a continued parking issue for the area.
I understand that.
Because we're short on parking as it is.
We don't have anything in the works at the moment, but we would be open to finding more parking in the future on that.
And not that I'm requesting that you adjust any site plans either, but just for the safety, public safety in the community. I'm concerned about the lack of parking.
Okay. So would you recommend requesting additional parking from somebody, or where?
I think that would be appropriate.
Okay. Do you have any sources of parking just on that front
I don't
page,
think
or-
I have any sources at hand, but I think you can make a request to the, to the city.
Yeah, to the city,
CRDA
right.
or possibly the redevelopment. And again, my concern is just for maintaining the footprint of the property and the safety of the area.
Okay.
And my second question, if you want to answer that one now, or I know you may have to go back and research.
Okay. All right.
Would you like to answer that now, or, or
The parking question?
Yes.
It would require additional research on our end.
Okay.
Madam Chair, can we have Mr. Jeff Seeley add to what the discussion is about the parking? He's with the
Yes, certainly.
developer.
Good evening.
Good
My-
evening.
My name is Jeff Seeley. I'm part of the development team.
Great.
So apologies, we were focused on the design stuff, so we didn't anticipate exploring that part of it.
Wonderful. That's okay.
But yes, your concern is one that we are highly focusing on. We've had discussion prior to this in terms of leasing parking the lots that are in front of the building that are currently owned by the university, but current administration issue have delayed that aspect.
Right.
But there's a couple of things with development now that we're trying to balance. There is the financial markets that you need to lock up these financial loans in a way that it's not volatile all the time because it's going up and down, and then without creating any delays. So part of this is making sure we adhere to the requirement of the city, while as developers, we are actively working to provide additional parking by the time we lease up those units.
Okay. Is that a promise?
We have to, because it won't be successful. Hopefully that answers that question. You're like, yes.
All right.
I feel a little bit better about that, yeah. But thanks for the consideration, because that's important, yeah.
Yes.
That's important. And we understand the time sensitivity of the securing the financing, because you gotta have that appropriately. My question in regards to the development itself, the number of units, and just to verify, you've got the two ADA compliance on the first floor, and how many of the units will be designated low to moderate affordable? Or is it entirely affordable?
Again, my name is Jeff Seeley. So yeah, we've been having additional conversation behind the actual technical design aspect of this. Again, so I apologize because we're focusing more on the technical side of this. But in terms of overall development, we've been having conversation with the city in terms of understanding the need for affordability. And really, the word for us would be workforce housing. In terms of teachers and firemen and those type of scenario. So those discussions are happening. And so part of it is really a market trend looking at in terms of where the market is vis-a-vis where the leasing notes are, where HUD have signaled them to be. So hopefully we can bridge more than 10 units of that, but that's really an ongoing discussion in terms of where we end up on that. But ultimately, we want it to be mixed because there's a need for that.
Fully mixed?
For the unit, right, to be a mix. We want a mixed environment for two reasons. One is you probably guys have tracked, even the Supreme Court have stated the idea that the units, the developments that are not mixed have not been successful. So you want that mix. But in terms of what that ratio end up being, that's further discussion with the city in terms of where we fall on that.
You promise?
Another promise, yes.
Excellent, okay. That's good. Those are my two questions.
I do. First of all, I want to congratulate the partners. I think this is something that when I rode by the lot recently and I saw the sign, I jumped for joy that I saw that a project was coming out of the ground. So congratulations to the team, and I look forward to it happening. But I did have the same concern that Pastor Lake has when I did the math, and it was potentially 48 people if you sell the thing out, and that could potentially be 48 vehicles. That's if everybody had a vehicle, but some of us might have two. And my question is not as much to you, but maybe the staff and did the LDC let us down here? It does not I mean, 6 parking places right now, which satisfies the land development code, but in reality, it,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, I agree.
because what happens in real terms, and I applaud you guys for satisfying the code, but what happens in reality is, and I see Captain Conti back there in the back, he's gonna get the calls because somebody's gonna be parking in somebody's backyard or something.
Right.
And having to deal with that. What are our options here, staff, in terms of, how do we deal with this?
It's an understandable concern, but as it relates to the specific hearing we're here for tonight,
Right.
approval of this site plan, whether the board believes the parking is adequate or not, because it does comply with the LDC, such beliefs couldn't form a basis for denying the application. So, you know, in terms of whether we need to look at whether the parking requirements in general, that's something that can be looked at, but for the purpose of the site plan
Right,
approval.
we know it's satisfied.
Right.
Right, I just wanted to make sure, and that's why I say I applaud them for what they're doing, because I believe in the project. Let me say that. But I also want to make sure that as we move forward, that we understand what potentially could be a problem for us all.
Down the road.
You know, and that we,
And it came up at, they got a variance for the setback that came before the Board of Adjustments, and the parking was expressed as a concern there as well. But I think the sentiment was that, you know, because of its proximity to the university, the need for additional parking would be somewhat diminished as a result of that, because it would be mostly students that would be occupying the apartment complex. But again, in terms of, they do satisfy the requirements for the LDC as it relates to parking, and so concerns over parking wouldn't be a
you
reason.
guys are targeting student population?
Yes, so it's kind of two different thoughts that sometimes appears to be intention, but are really not intention. So this part here is really more about satisfy the technical part with the city, so we can get our financial with the vent lock enclosed, because that's moving. So that's one box by itself. But what you're asking about, we absolutely, both of you, incoming calls about, because as developers, we're not just thinking about what the city requires, but we're thinking about the viability of development in terms of it being successful. So even a year ago, we were in conversation with the university, both about the 2 lots that they own in front of us. And it had to do more, not just parking, but also water management in the area that was also of concern. So those discussions are ongoing, and we don't foresee the development being leased up without conclusion of those additional parking spaces for all the reasons I talked about. In addition, part of this is a walkable community to the university, because our intention is to serve quite a bit of students at the university, and those conversations also are ongoing. So there's multiple pots here that are being worked together, and hopefully as we get close to build out, then those things will come together.
Okay, thank you. Yes.
I wanted to address Mr. Thompson's concern about parking. Going forward,
Mm-hmm.
or at least let me give it its historical context, but I've been told, you know, from a few years ago, we lack of a better term, we reduced the parking in Midtown to accommodate businesses, new growth. So the parking itself has certainly been relaxed because of the need for new development. So going forward, if that is something that we should readdress now, because you see the potential, good or bad, then that's something that we can do as staff, go back to the land development code and, you know, address some parking concerns. Because, you know, they're adhering to what's required of them.
Correct.
It is, I'm not real sure, Michelle, but I think it was, might have been this board or might have been some others who said, hey, we need to, you know, relax some of the standards
Right.
in the Midtown community. And now that we got new development, we're talking about, you know, we need to be concerned about parking. So if that is the case, then we need to go back and look at bringing some recommendations back on how we address parking concerns.
And I guess, Mr. Thomas, if we decide to do that, we're gonna have to have a variety of different stakeholders at the table. Because parking dilemmas involve, like I said, police, code enforcement, so many different people. And I just wanted to make sure, because when I did the basic math, and I saw the staff recommendation, I saw the LDC, they satisfied it right there,
Right.
first blush. So that's why I say I applaud you guys. But I also saw potentially down the road, we've got some issues that could affect your bottom line, and your
Yes,
ability to have a fully leased building,
Yes, yes.
Right.
and that's it. So I just wanted to voice that.
Yeah.
And I applaud you because seeing vacant land that was dormant, now seeing something come out of the dust that makes us look better, that builds the tax base up, I applaud you for that.
And I think Michelle, well, she did, she mentioned it. It was stated in the staff report where the parking spaces don't apply to Dr. Bethune Boulevard, Dr. King
Correct.
Boulevard, within 150 feet west of Dr. King Boulevard.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Now, the question, I know for me, the question is not a question on the viability of the project, because you'll get a yes from me on the development. So that's not it. My question again is futuristic. What's going to actually happen once you're out of the ground and you get the kind of people that mix use to utilize the property to fill it, so you don't have any vacancies. And that's what I'm concerned with. Yeah. So more public safety concern, but not on the project itself. You will get a yes.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
But yeah, so that's not my concern. Yeah.
The parking, right.
So I'm excited about the project. Yeah.
Thank you, thank you all.
Well, thank you. Ms. Shepherd, did you have?
Good evening, gentlemen, and thank you for coming in tonight. I have two issues I'd like to address. The first is, of course, the previous issue raised about parking. That's a no-brainer. I think human nature being what it is, with a limited 1/4 of parking spaces to 1/8 potentially of available parking spaces is going to, I see trouble ahead. So I think that maybe you can work in conjunction, partnership with BCC, and possibly, if that's your target, then perhaps you can work some kind of an agreement out with BCC to get, after hours parking appropriate over there. But let me drill down on that a little bit more, only because this personally affects me. I'm concerned about the handicapped parking. I believe that, because I know how difficult it is for handicapped people to get around in everyday life, there should be a spot for each appropriate residence, designated residence. That's just my personal feelings on that. My other concern is, can you give me a little bit more information about the price range, the target price range that you're going after?
That would be more of a ask question.
Yeah, my name is Jeff Seeley. Like any developer, our starting point, we're just assessing the market where it's at. You won't do good business if you don't start with that. But obviously, with our conversation with the workforce housing, HUD drives the data on that in terms of what is affordable for those targets.
Okay, because I was, not only did I drive by the site, and I commend you for bringing this wonderful project forward, but looking at and knowing the area as I do, I think it needs to be budget conscious. That's one of my major concerns. Your name, of course, says luxury lofts, and that conjures up all kinds of ideas of, gold-plated this and diamond-studded that. But we don't want to make it so that it's overpriced.
Yeah.
That would be my concern also.
Obviously, we want quality no matter the income level that we're addressing. But if you look at the design, and the architect is not here, but it's very in the mode of utilitarian design, so where you're maximizing space while bringing modernity to it. So it is luxurious to look at, but it maximizes space in a way where you can manage your costs.
utilitarian, I can see
exactly,
that.
yes. So that's how you approach that, where you can bring luxury to all price point without having to build something that is not pleasing to the eye.
Okay. I think that if we have, I know where I'm going to vote. My only sticking point is the parking.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, any others? And I concur, the parking is the concern that I had, and I know we've already discussed that, so we do appreciate your sharing with us. Okay. Are there any public comments at this time? And if so, a reminder that you need to complete a form down here, if so. Ms. Ruby?
So I'm sorry I missed the presentation. I have looked at it in the backup. It seemed, and I've driven by the site, it looks like a wonderful project. And I understand the concern about the parking, but this, something Midtown needs, so I'm very excited about it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Okay,
Yep.
all right. Anyone else? Okay. Can I get a motion from board members?
Yeah. I'm moving approval.
Now, second.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
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 Those opposed, same sign. The motion carries and the site plan is approved.
Congrats.
Okay. All right, thank you so much for coming. All right, same to you. Thank you again. Okay, at this time, we're in our staff reports, and I'd like to invite Captain Conde to please come forth and share with us police department updates.
Good afternoon,
It's on
members.
blast back there.
I can feel the heat coming around the corner. This is the staff report for District 1 from April 10th until today's date, May 14th. Since our last visit, District 1 has handled 3,585 calls for service, completed 856 reports. We've made 89 felony arrests, 118 misdemeanor arrests, conducted 469 traffic stop, and issued 408 citations. As far as crimes go, we had 19 aggravated assault investigations, 11 burglary investigations, 7 sexual offense investigations, 16 vehicle theft investigations, 4 recovered vehicle thefts, 2 robberies, 13 car breaks, 2 prowler arrests, and 2 weapon law violations with arrests. As previously stated in other visits, each month we select a specific target area to address parking, well, not parking complaints, now you got me thinking, traffic complaints, traffic issues, speeding. For the month of April, we selected Zone 5, which focused on Derbyshire Road from Mason Avenue to 8th Street. And during the month of April, we completed 146 traffic stops, issued 90 citations, provided 76 warnings. There was 1 misdemeanor arrest, 5 reports, and 3 towed vehicles. Now for the month of May, now that we're almost halfway through, the initiative for the month of May will be North Nova Road between Brentwood Drive and Western National Speedway. Now, although we don't typically select such a large area to conduct this sort of proactive enforcement, unfortunately, over the last few weeks, we've seen a significant increase in auto thefts and burglaries, and typically those property crimes will inevitably lead to an increase in persons crimes. So the whole purpose is to address that main corridor, because that seems to be where most of the activity is either stemming from or leading to. And last month, Mr. Lake, you asked me as far as race and gender data for our citations issued, and I do have some information to provide.
Oh, excellent.
In reference to DUIs, we have a breakdown for race and gender, and I'll just limit it to 2024. Okay. We had 97 DUIs so far. 47 were Caucasian males, 27 were Caucasian females, 6 were African American males, 9 were African American females, 3 Hispanic males, 3 Hispanic females, 2 Asian males, 0 Asian females, and then 5 other or unknown racial demographic. For seatbelt violations, from March 1st until May 14th, we had a breakdown of 5 non-Hispanic white provided a citation, 1 Hispanic Latino provided a citation, 9 black non-Hispanic. We had 0 American Indian or Alaskan, 0 Asian, and there were 4 total for unknown demographic. For warnings provided during this same time frame, we had a total of 738 warnings provided. Of those warnings provided, we had 17 under the Asian demographic, 282 under the black demographic, 70 under the Hispanic Latin American demographic. We had 1 under American Indian. We had 26 under the other category, and we had 342 under the white or Caucasian category.
Wow. Okay. Wow. Thank you for securing that data. Yeah.
Very welcome, Chair. One thing that I do want to bring to everybody's attention is, in addition to some of the Hyundai and the Kia auto thefts that we were experiencing, it's still unfortunately an ongoing issue. But we have a new crime trend currently, which is the theft of motorcycles. So, unfortunately, despite Bike Week already being almost 2 months over, we're still experiencing some motorcycle thefts. So we are asking for everyone to just be monitored, monitor your own surroundings, be aware of your surroundings. It's not normal for these cargo vans to drive around, apartment complexes at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. Nothing good is happening at that hour. So if you do see something like that, please call us. Non-emergency number is just fine. But from the information and the investigations that we have completed thus far, these are cargo vans that are being used because motorcycles can easily be picked up and they're dropped in the back of the vans, and for the most part, they're being dismantled, and they're looking for trackers, and they're tossing the trackers before they hit 95. So, I know it's information that's relevant and important for everyone here, so I do appreciate it if you can spread the word.
Okay,
Excellent.
thank you.
Got 2 questions.
Yeah. I was out of town, but I flew in and got caught in the traffic. How was Rockville?
It was a hot mess.
Yeah.
Rockville were some challenges. There were, over 100,000 people depending on the day of the week. But fortunately, as far as the city goes, we didn't have any significant issues.
Good.
Most of the mayhem occurred inside of the Speedway.
Stolen
Yeah,
phones
right.
and stuff, right?
The stolen phones.
Yeah.
So fortunately, between our agency and VSO, we were able to identify and arrest several individuals.
Okay.
And, they were arrested. And a lot of the property was recovered. Some of it actually remains unidentified because victims still haven't come forward yet. But overall, it was still a peaceful event for the most part. We did have, what's that, sir?
The hotels were full because I had some friends that had to stay in Orlando because they couldn't come over.
So this was one of the very first years that we actually dedicated additional resources for the sole purpose of pedestrian crossings. So, I give all the credit in the world to our motor unit sergeant. He saw the issue coming because in years past, we've had 1 to 2 fatalities due to people just walking in the roadway. So him observing and noticing this problem, he said, we should get ahead of it. So we had dedicated resources just for pedestrian crossing, and that seemed to have helped a lot. Because if you don't corral those folks in, they'll spread across the field.
I work right at the Home Depot, right next to the Daytona Speedway, and the foot traffic was just like Daytona. Daytona Speedway, the Daytona 500, they were everywhere, like little ants, all over the place. So, yeah, you did a good job this year. Thank you.
Excellent.
We appreciate it. I can't take the credit for it.
Thank you. I have two questions regarding the report, and thank you for sharing all that information. It's right on. What have you seen the trends from this year as it relates to comparing to last year? We upward trend, downward trend on just general from the report?
I can tell you that compared to last year, our crimes are down, and our percentage rate of arrests has also increased. Meaning, even though we do have less actual violent crime being reported and less property crimes being reported, our quote-unquote clearance rate has gone up because the vast majority of these investigations are leading to arrests, and that's 100% due to the staff, the police officers and the detectives with their relentless follow-up. So we do have ugly spikes here and there, but for the most part, I can tell you that our stats are down as far as crime. When I was first promoted about 2 years ago, when I would get my CompStat report, it was an easy 20 pages, if not more, of just one incident after the other. And then I would have to comb through this madness and, read all 20 pages and do my own research. But for the past 6 months, the pages have gone from about 20 down to 7 to 8 to 9. So I'm down to single digits, which is a very, very good thing.
Yeah, that's a good trend, so
Excellent.
thank you. Now, with that being said, if you could unpack what you call citations, would that be just civil citations or all the citations together?
So we have 3 citations that we can provide. One is an actual uniform traffic citation, and this would be either a criminal or non-criminal offense for a traffic-related offense. So if you run a red light, you can be provided a UTC, a uniform traffic citation. There's also the same piece of paper is issued for a person with a suspended license, and then that would be a criminal offense citation. Not all of them require a court appearance. The second is a warning, which the paperwork mirrors. They're very similar in appearance, and it's 100% that. It is simply a warning meant to educate the general public. Hey, you did this, please be careful. And then the third is our parking citations. So
Yeah.
that's pretty much our breakdown. And then obviously we still have the Lights On voucher program that is still active. We still have plenty of vouchers to go around. In the very beginning, we saw a decent increase in it, which is good and bad. Bad because people were driving around without headlights, but good because I've seen the number dwindle. So that tells me that there's not as much a need, but we still do have vouchers available. So for anybody who's driving with a burnt out headlight, who needs a tag light, if you're stopped by law enforcement, at least within the city of Daytona Beach, you can be provided this voucher. You take it to one of the participating businesses, and they will replace or repair up to a value, I think, of $200.
Okay, good. And my last question, that's great information, especially the vouchers, so that's important. The red light cameras, is that also included in your numbers?
No.
Okay.
If I'm not wrong, Florida State Supreme Court said that it was illegal. Well, not illegal, but it was a violation.
Yeah.
So we actually, even though they still are out there,
Right.
they are not active, and they do not issue citations.
Okay, thank God. Well, not for not for me.
For you and me both.
Somebody else.
Yeah, that's somebody else.
You guys still, they're recording, though. They are recording, right?
No, the red light citation cameras are not recording. Now, there are other cameras that are controlled here by the city,
Right.
by the IT staff, and that does have some recording, but depending on which camera you look at, it'll only retain data for up to 14 days.
Oh, okay.
All right, I'll tell the truth, maybe one time.
Let me move out the way.
Okay. Any other
Thank you.
questions?
I do.
Excellent.
Can I
Excellent
just
report.
have, once again, thank you for your service. I think y'all do
You're
an
very
amazing
welcome.
job. Let me say that I think I miss your reports, your paper reports, because I'm able to look at what the trends are from month to month to month. And in lieu of not being able to get that data here, is there a way that you can tell us what percentages are, not this month, but maybe our next meeting or so, the differences are?
I will do my best to do so. It would require some manpower to do it.
I'm sorry.
Because
Yeah.
unfortunately, the moment that the new program took effect, which is almost going to be a year at this point,
I know,
because it took effect in June of '23.
yeah.
I will reach out to my analysts to see if they're able to do it, at least a comparison of some kind. I won't make you any false promises. I will do my very best to do so.
Well, just-
But I assure you, as
Well,
much as
they-
it helps you, it does help me because it makes it significantly easier to see the mapping system.
Yeah.
If I see a cluster of crimes occurring here, I can identify which is the hot zone, meaning that's where most of the crimes are occurring.
Absolutely, absolutely. My second issue is, in my specific area, I'm at Fulton and Mary Bethune-Cookman. There is an increasing number of homeless, vagrants, prostitution, and drug activity going on. I've noticed an uptick lately. what can I do?
So we have a few options. Depending on what information you're referring to, some folks don't want to get involved, so they feel more comfortable relaying this information to us in an anonymous fashion. So you can actually submit a crime tip online. You can contact Crime Stoppers of Northeast Florida, and then that information is compiled and sent to us. There's also text-to-tip. And now the city actually does have a new program which you can access on DV Connect, which is the C-Click Fix. The C-Click Fix is a bit of a catch-all because it encompasses both code compliance issues, streets, as well as law enforcement. So if there is a current issue, you can actually take a picture and submit it that way. You do have the option to put in your contact information, or you can just be a guest user. However, depending on what the complaint is, it'll be funneled directly to that respective supervisor.
Okay.
So as far as transient issues, parking complaints, speeding complaints, all police-related matters come to me, and then I assign the assignment, and then I follow up, and then I update it on the app. The nice thing is that using this app, it creates a timeline, so you can actually see it live to see, is there anything being done? And so far, I'm doing my best. I'll actually put in a case number, I'll put in a sequence number, so that people can see, I'm not just putting information, yeah, we checked it, there was nothing there.
Right.
No, I'll actually put in a sequence number. Officers have checked this area 2-3 times, and then that way there's at least a trackable form to confirm what they've done.
My last issue, and first of all, thank you for your time. On my street and the street directly behind me, I've got people flying down those streets, literally flying. And even though there's one of those,
A speed hump?
yeah, but it's not one of your good ones. It's one of those, the black tar-looking ones or rubber-looking ones, and they just fly right over it. I swear to the good Lord, they must be doing 60 to 80 down the street.
Wow.
So I can tell you, we have
ridiculous.
done traffic studies both in Fulton and Garden, because Garden rears its ugly head once in a while as well. I can tell you, out of all the complaints that I get, traffic is by far number one. That is the most consistent. So we do our best to cycle through these complaints, and obviously if Fulton and Garden are continuing to be an issue, then I can, send some additional
One of them
resources
good
that way.
speed bumps, I'm talking about the ones that are yellow, that stand up about that high. And
You can put cinder blocks out there. What I can tell you is the process to actually get a speed hump or a speed bump is not through the police department, unfortunately. I believe Public Works has to go out, and they need to conduct a study.
Okay.
They need to see what the rate of speed is, the rate of travel, how many people are using the street. And then in addition to that, they need to pretty much canvass the entire neighborhood and say, is everybody in agreement? Does everybody want this? And some folks do, and some folks don't.
I know my neighbors that I talk to certainly do. We had one not too terribly long ago that went airborne and crashed into a fence, into a neighbor's fence. So this was last year or so, but, this is the type of stuff that my neighbors are concerned about, so.
I will definitely dedicate some resources for that area.
And thank you for that avenue I can reach out.
You're very welcome.
Yeah, Captain, in response to that avenue to reach out, how, as a person newer to the community, how readily available is that information to make sure the residents have that access?
Well, all of the information is available online.
Yeah.
As far as the city's application and use of the C-Click Fix app, you can actually access it through the city's DV Connect app, or you can do it online.
Do we have a way to get it to the homes individually that may be deficient in accessing internet?
I believe it may have been included in the utility bill when it went live about 3-4 weeks ago.
Okay.
But I don't want to misspeak. I know that it was sent citywide from, I believe, Miss Susan Sorbonne.
Okay.
And that was included in everybody's
Okay,
email.
very good, very good, excellent, okay,
Very welcome.
good.
Okay,
Appreciate you.
all right.
Great report.
Thank you.
Very
Thank you
welcome.
very much.
I will see you next month.
Next, we will have Ms. Tolliver with the redevelopment projects.
Madam Chair, board members, before I start, I did hear from Sarah Kirk. She typically would be here.
Yes.
But she got her calendar dates mixed up, and she thought the meeting was next week. So she apologizes for that.
Thank you.
So I am going to start with, if you all will look at the monitors with me, I'm doing a update on our grants. And I think I mentioned at the April meeting vaguely that we had some updates, and I would bring that to you. So that's what this is. We looked at the appearance of our city's redevelopment area commercial districts, and we realized that they play an important role in creating a positive image for the business district to attract new businesses and to encourage business expansion. After determining that many commercial buildings in the city of Daytona Beach redevelopment areas suffer from a lack of investment and/or aging facilities, staff realized we needed to make some changes to the current incentive grant programs. So, this is going to give you on the left-hand side the former commercial grant and landscape grant improvement. We combined those two grants into a new grant, but just to highlight the areas, the awards were 50% of the total project cost for facade improvements, and the maximum amounts were $5,000 or $10,000 if you had multiple storefronts at the lot. Types of improvements included brick and textured pavements, landscaping, planters and exterior lighting, painting, stucco repair, new or replacement of woodwork, pressure cleaning, signs, and awnings. And then on our property improvement and professional design assistance grant, that's what it is replaced with. The awards can be up to 80% of the total project cost for facade and interior improvements. On the previous grants, there were no interior improvements included. The maximum amount of $50,000 for interior and exterior improvements are in our new grant. It includes interior improvements such as heating, ventilation, air conditioning system, electrical system, plumbing, grease traps, kitchen hoods, painting, and interior lighting. The interior renovations include, but not limited to, brick or textured pavement, landscaping, painting, stucco repair, entryways, decorative fencing, exterior lighting, roofing, impact-resistant windows, awnings, parking lot improvements, or flood remediation work. The new grant covers 50% of the total project cost for design assistance as well, up to $20,000. And with the new grant, there is a zero interest loan. It's a zero interest loan that is forgivable after 2 years. Wow. The next slide just shows a summary of what I just said. It's an 80-20. The commercial property is an 80-20 split with the maximum of $50,000, and then the design assistance is a 50-50 split with a maximum award of $20,000. And again, the zero interest rate loan that's forgivable in 2 years. And the program administration for this is any application over $25,000 for an individual project is going to require the CRA as well as a recommendation from the appropriate advisory board. The applicant will proceed with work within 120 days of receiving a building permit, and the properties for sale or listed at the time of application are not eligible for these grants. The program funds will be a 2-year, again, zero interest rate for forgivable loan. The project will require a written contract between the CRA and the property owner. The contract will include provisions for a lien, and that's the zero interest for 2 years placed on the property. And the property to be improved must not have any delinquent ad valorem taxes, free of all municipal and county liens, judgments, and encumbrances of any kind, and the business must remain in operation for at least 2 years after the loan is awarded. And then funding may be used. Funding may not be used for design fees only. Funding for design fees will only be awarded with the funding when the funding will also be used subsequently substantially, I am so sorry. Let me start that over. Funding may not be used for design fees only. May not be used for design fees alone. Funding for design fees will only be awarded when the funding will also be used substantially for exterior property improvements. Conversely, funding may be awarded for exterior property improvements even if no funding for design assistance is requested. The next slide is the additional grants that we had. We decided to take a look at those, and we consolidated the business, commercial. We had a business facade, and we had a commercial facade, and then a leasehold improvement grant. So we took those 3 grants, and again, to the left, these were the, this is the makeup of the former grant. The awards were up to 50% or 75% of the total project costs for facade improvements. It did not include any interior work. The maximum amount of $5,000 or $10,000, $10,000 for multiple storefronts, brick or textured pavement, landscaping, planters, exterior lighting, painting, stucco repair, and/or new repair and new or replacement of woodwork, pressure cleaning, signs, and awnings, and it was limited to a target area. Under the new grant, we've named it Small Projects, Commercial, and Business Assistance Grant. And for existing businesses, they may receive an award up to 50% of the total project costs, with no single grant exceeding $15,000. For new businesses or relocated businesses, they may receive up to 75% of the total project cost with no single grant exceeding $20,000. And again, these small projects for commercial and business assistance include interior as well as exterior renovations. And then the next slide, I'm summarizing again what the Small Projects Commercial and Business Incentive Grant Program offers. The 50-50 split between 50-50 split for existing businesses up to a maximum award of $15,000, and new businesses or expanding their business or relocating to a redevelopment area, it's a 75-25 split with a maximum award amount of $20,000. And again, these incentives include interior and exterior renovations. And are there any questions? Before I take questions, on our website, just as before, these grants are listed, and if you all want me to send a link to the group, I will do that. And if you are a property owner within one of our redevelopment areas, specifically Midtown, you're eligible to apply. You just can't vote if it exceeds 25,000 and it has to come before you.
Yeah. Very good. I thought it was very interesting, and the fact that you consolidated some of the ones from the previous, you know, because really all of that fits most business acumens, really, most business owners. So I think that that's ideal. I thought that was impressive.
Yeah. And the thought is that if we increase the grant amount, we will get more business owners and commercial property owners to access the grants, because we're not getting a lot, specifically in Midtown.
Wow.
Yes, thank you.
Made it
Yes.
aggressive.
Yeah.
Yes.
Excellent. I do have
Thank
a
you.
question.
Yes.
In regards to the 2 years the forgivable loans, are there any other additional requirements that they have to meet?
No.
Just
No. The project, it has to be specific projects, but no, there are no,
no additional?
no,
Okay.
no,
Well,
no.
okay.
We want to see progress.
Excellent.
Yes. Did you have a question?
I did not, thank you.
Okay.
Good. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
And then the next item, as we normally have, there's a copy of the Public Works projects that I provided a copy to each of you with. And then the last item, I gave you all a copy of the triage business development program. As you can see, it's limited to 60 candidates. And if you will go online and sign up, or you can touch base with Phoebe Fuquay, she will be available to answer any questions for you. She's leading this effort.
Okay. All right. So
Thank
And
you.
this-
This is great.
Yeah,
Thank
triage
you.
information is also available on our website.
okay.
Okay.
While you're there, can we talk about the I enjoyed the seafood festival.
Yes.
Yes, it
Yes.
was nice. It
Yes.
was, yeah,
The turnout was
well
fabulous.
attended, yeah.
The
What was
added
the foot-
activities.
What was the foot traffic? Did you?
Oh, my.
It
Wow.
was a
I
lot.
wish, you know what?
Missed the housing thing.
Yeah, the housing fair over at Allen Chapel.
It was great.
I talked with Mr. Thompson right after the seafood festival, and he mentioned the foot traffic. And my intent, before I left town, was to show you all the video.
Okay.
And I forgot, because we have photos as well as the drone pictures of the
Okay, great.
crowd that showed up.
Good.
Yes. Maybe I'll do that. I'll remember to do that next month.
Very good.
But
It
yeah, the
really
turnout
was, and
awesome.
it was great. And I think you had a lot of visitors in town that weekend
Absolutely,
too.
yes.
Very good. Excellent.
Thanks for pointing that out, Mr. Thompson.
All right.
That concludes
Anything
what I
else
have.
for Ms. Tolliver?
Yes. Are there any updates on residential grants?
We did not amend the residential grants for Midtown. Midtown's is slightly different than the other redevelopment areas. Midtown has residential grants for property owners, homeowners, and it is up to $10,000 that is paid directly to the person or company providing the service. If they need a new roof, the roof costs $30,000, the grant pays up to $10,000, they pay the $20,000 difference. If they need new windows and doors at their home, and that replacement costs $10,000, we pay the window and door company $10,000 directly.
Okay.
In the other areas, it's up to $5,000.
And one word that I wanted to ask about, even regarding the commercial and for the residential, is mold included in the interior mediations on either
For
side?
the commercial, it is. Residential.
Because I didn't see the word mold itself.
It's under a let me go back. It's under, can you switch PowerPoints, guys? There's a vague category that talks about interior improvements. My IT folks, can you switch back? There you go. All right.
I tried to look for mold.
It is under, it may not be on here, but it is definitely in the application itself. It speaks in general terms about interior something. It's not jumping out at me now, but if you touch base with me tomorrow or whenever you get a minute, if I don't reach out to you, the application itself does speak to interior improvements.
For both
yes.
residential
Yes.
and commercial. And
It's
that's
residential. I'm sorry, commercial.
Not
Commercial.
residential?
Our residential is only facade,
Only
which was on
facade.
the exterior. Most of our grants dealt with the facade, and we're changing the commercial language to include inside and outside. Give us some time,
yeah.
and maybe we'll revisit the residential, and we change that.
And I want to be a part of that discussion because
Okay,
the CRA can make that adjustment.
on the residential
On the
side.
residential side.
Okay, for mold.
Good.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Right now, we're, and I think Mr. Thomas reeled me back in when I was speaking with Ms. Shepherd when she had someone who had roof issues.
Yeah.
We're trying to use all the
Yeah,
county
yeah.
Transform 386 money
Right,
first.
Right.
And if there are mold issues that someone that you know is dealing with, if they can tie it back to water damage from one of the hurricanes, it's almost impossible not to.
Right.
But they can get mold remediation help, and I'm not sure where the mold is or where.
Right.
Now, if it's in a bathroom, that may be another issue.
Right.
If it's on the exterior windows, something that can be related to water damage, they can apply for a Transform 386. But I am going to make a note about the mold in our residential grant.
That's right.
Excellent.
Were there any other questions?
Just real quick about
Yes.
the $10,000 residential grant.
Yes.
Is that, say they just need to have a couple of their windows replaced, so it would be up to the cost of the repairs or?
Up to $10,000 toward the
It's only
cost of repairs.
$10,000.
We pay 100% of it, and it goes directly to the company replacing the windows.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Okay. All right, anything else? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Tolliver.
Excellent. Thank you.
Okay, hopefully next month we'll hear some more on the spotlight, the business spotlights on Midtown. The two individuals that were scheduled here today are not here. But at this time, Old business, new business, there are none, but we have public comments. So, yes, Ms. Ruby, we got you.
I will fill in the form, thank you.
Okay.
I'm just looking for an update on that. Where's the Frameworks project on Orange Avenue?
Frameworks project on Orange Avenue. So that is the quasi, some mixed use, some market rate, some affordable on the city-owned property. And right now, I think they're finishing up with their site plan approval.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but they're doing the rezoning first. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm not mic'd on. The rezoning is, if I can back up a second, they're trying to do an amendment to the agreement.
Okay.
Because they need more time, because they have to provide compensating storage off-site.
Okay.
And we've been meeting with Public Works as well as, excuse me, redevelopment staff to try to see the best way to deal with that. And we've identified a location. So the next thing that they're going to do once we get that First Amendment back is then they need to rezone. They're going to do the plan development on the site, and then they'll do the site plan. But it's kind of been held up because of 400 Beach Street.
Okay.
They're trying to use the same resources. 400 Beach Street is a go. They're moving, it's moving. If you've noticed the site, they started to clear off the site, and there's some movement, because for months now, it's been growing. So we have slow movement on Orange Avenue, but they're going to do the amendment first to allow themselves more time to do the off-site compensating storage, and then they'll start with the rezoning.
Okay, so that will then be coming back before this board?
The
starting up?
rezoning as well as the site plan.
Okay.
Yes.
Awesome. And then, I know there was just a big grant thing that, loan thing that got applied for Midtown approved. Where's that money? What's the status
The
of that?
6.5 million?
Yes.
We have acquired 3 properties so far.
Okay.
And we're hoping to acquire more with those funds. And we also, projects like the MLK lofts, projects like that will be incentivized using those funds.
Okay, cool. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other public comments at this time? Okay. If not, we will have board comments, and if I may begin with you, Pastor Lake.
This was a great meeting. That's good, wonderful meeting, so thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Thompson?
I'm encouraged by what I'm seeing. Some growth. So I'm going to say that to the staff, you know.
Excellent.
Now, you said that
Yes.
several months ago, too. You said you can see some nice stuff happening, and we are seeing that. So my hat is off to you, Thomas, and your team.
Excellent.
Yes. Great.
And we're excited about what's to come next, too, okay?
Okay, Ms. Shepherd?
I want to also echo Mr. Thompson's comments about growth. I noticed that there's 2 new residential buildings going in on my street alone. And I know that they have tapped city funds to get them going. So that's a good thing. I love growth. And what I heard here tonight is very encouraging.
Okay, thank you. I agree. I appreciate all the hard work, and it is wonderful to see such growth and development come across at any time, but especially so quickly here in recent times. So we do applaud all of you, and thank you for all that you've done to make that so. We've heard quite a bit tonight about the MLK luxury lofts, the grant operations, the business development, and the triage, and what happened at the Seafood Festival and whatnot. So it has been a full evening and very informative. Yes. And at this time, the meeting is adjourned.
Excellent. Thank you, Madam Chair.